station, Radio Gold, Accra FM, Class FM, CTV, Metro TV, UTV, Kesbin FM and Kesbin TV, both in Accra and in Kumasi. And for stations who may want to join the live streaming, you can get a live feed on Weasel or a clean feed on satellite on the broadcast channel on Multi TV. Having said so, ladies and gentlemen, without wasting time, I will introduce to you our speaker for this afternoon. This man was the Deputy Minister for Finance when the NDC was in office between 2013 and 2016. And as Deputy Minister for Finance, he was a representative of the Finance Minister and the government on the board of the Bank of Ghana. He's been ranking member for Finance for the NDC in Parliament, and currently he is the leader of the NDC caucus in Parliament. He's ably supported by his colleagues who are here to back him. I've seen the Member of Parliament for Sujaman, Honorable Lampim Dakon. A round of applause for them. They are doing a yeoman's job. Please get me one more chair here. Get me one more chair for Honorable Richard, the champion, who is also a member of the Finance Committee of Parliament. We have the Member of Parliament for Dudu, Honorable Nilante Vanderpoy, my senior brother. Yes. And the Bank of Ghana is located in his constituency. So that's the whose constituency of the Bank of Ghana. Then we have Honorable Yusuf Jaja, our Member of Parliament for Ayawaso North. Yes, we have the Member of Parliament for Garu constituency in the Upper East region, Honorable Albert. Yes, is also here. Thank you very much. We'll be introducing others as they join. So as I said, our speaker today is well-versed in financial issues, former Deputy Minister of Finance, former rep of the Finance Minister in the government on the board of Bank of Ghana, former ranking member for Finance, and currently the MP for Ejumako, Enyane CM in the Central Region, and the leader of the NDC caucus, Honorable Dr. Ato Forson. A round of applause for him.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is with great and heavy heart and great sorrow that we welcome you to this critical press briefing. The Bank of Ghana, which is our central bank and the lender of last resort, has been dealt a catastrophic blow by the reckless, clueless, and criminally minded NPP mismanagers of our economy. And this has necessitated an urgent call to save the Central Bank of the Republic of Ghana. Many media houses, including those of you here, have in the last week covered the sad and pathetic story of the Central Bank following the release of the annual report of the Bank of Ghana for the year 2022. Everyone who understood the crucial role of the Bank of Ghana will be rightly worried about this development. It is a total disaster. Ladies and gentlemen, unless we take an urgent and drastic action, these reckless, clueless, and criminally minded NPP mismanagers of the economy have laid the final groundwork for the collapse of our financial system and the economy, which will worsen the already horrible conditions of the Ghanaian people. We in the NDC saw the red flags and have consistently warned of the mismanagement of the financial sector by the governor of the central bank and his team of incompetent deputies. This mismanagement was anchored on the jaundiced supervision by Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, who is the brain behind the MPP's economic mismanagement team. Colleagues and ladies and gentlemen, only this week, in fact, last week, the annual report and the financial statement of the Bank of Ghana was released. This report depicted the catastrophic decline of the Central Bank of Ghana into a bottomless pit. The report revealed the following astonishing facts. 1, the Bank of Ghana recorded a staggering loss of 60.8 billion Ghana cedis, which is equivalent of $6 billion US. This is twice the amount we are to receive from the recent IMF bailout. 60 billion Ghana cedis, representing $6 billion US, meaning this is twice the amount we'll be asking the IMF to give to us. This simply means that the reckless and mismanagement of the governor of the Bank of Ghana has costed the nation twice what we are struggling and sacrificing to receive from the International Monetary Fund amid its major conditionalities. Colleagues, the Bank of Ghana has also recorded a negative equity of over 55.1 billion Ghana cedis. This simply means that the Bank of Ghana is currently bankrupt, or in other words, insolvent. In other words, the once prestigious Bank of Ghana, the mother of all banks in Ghana, have been bankrupted and collapsed by the NPP economic management team, led by Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, with the complicity of the governor of the central bank and his deputies. Friends from the media, many questions have been asked about how we arrived at this gloomy and sad situation, with some expressing surprise at the state of affairs of the central bank. For us in the NDC, the disaster did not come as a surprise. In fact, we in the NDC minority have always known that the Bank of Ghana was being mismanaged. We have made this point time without number, that the Bank of Ghana is a classic example of how not to manage an economy. The NDC party is on record to have informed Ghanaians on countless occasions that the Bank of Ghana has been on a dangerous trajectory, and indeed, it has now become a crime scene with the dire consequences for us all. Fellow countrymen and women, after the inept and clueless finance minister overborrowed and got Ghana locked out of the capital market due to our unsustainable debt obligations, the NPP government chose the easy, reckless, lazy, and criminal path of printing money. Unfortunately, this is how the governor and the central bank, the governor of the central bank, Dr. Ernest Addison, who is now known as the printer of money, has conspired with members of economic mismanagement team, led by Alhaji Dr. Bawumia and the inept finance minister Ken Ofori-Atta, aka One Program, One Bond, to destroy Ghana's central bank. After this dastardly act of overlending to the government by the central bank, they then proceeded to do the unthinkable. And the unthinkable is to write off a whopping 48.4 billion Ghana cedis, about half of Ghana's government indebtedness, to the central bank without parliamentary approval. This is illegal and criminal, and the NDC members of parliament will not allow this to pass. In fact, we will resist this. Both the mismanagement of the economy and our finances, the spectacular recklessness and ineptitude of the governor and his team has called into question the wisdom of leaving him at the helm of affairs of the central bank. We now present to you the manifestations of the mismanagement and the ineptitude and the potential corruption at the Bank of Ghana, which was revealed by the 2022 annual report and the financial statement of the Bank of Ghana. 1, the report revealed that millions of Ghana cedis has been wasted on frivolous administrative expenses. The Bank of Ghana spent a whopping 131.6 million Ghana cedis on motor vehicle maintenance and its running in the year 2022 alone. In fact, this represents 114% increase over the previous year's expenditure on the same line item. Similarly, foreign and domestic travels of the Bank of Ghana cost the taxpayer a staggering 97.4 million Ghana cedis, which again is an increase of 246% over the previous year's expenditure. The Bank of Ghana also dissipated another 8.6 million Ghana cedis on directors' remuneration alone. This represents about 87% increase over the previous year's expenditure. Directors' remuneration, 8.6 million Ghana cedis. If you are to compare this to the previous year, this represents 87% increase over the previous year. This simply means that Ghanaians were charged a mismanagement fee to deliver the collapse of the central bank. The Bank of Ghana further claimed to have spent a colossal 357.9 million Ghana cedis on banking supervision expenses for the year 2022 alone. The report further disclosed that the Bank of Ghana spent a whopping 67.9 million Ghana cedis on computers expenses alone, whilst communication expenses also amounted to 32 million Ghana cedis. Communication alone, just to meet the press, they spent 32 million Ghana cedis for 1 year, the year 2022. The report further disclosed that an undisclosed expense of 287.8 million Ghana cedis was paid, undisclosed. They could not account for 287 million Ghana cedis. I beg to ask, is the central bank the Ministry of National Security? It's only the national security that can announce an amount that is undisclosed. So an amount of 287.8 million Ghana cedis that they have failed to disclose to the auditors begs for certain questions. We also saw in the report that the Bank of Ghana indeed spent an amount of $2 million on gold watches alone. I don't know who they bought the watches for, whether it's for the governor and the deputies. $2 million only on watches. Perhaps the more troubling fact is that having brought the Bank of Ghana to this terrible financial state, the governor and his deputies have found it prudent and expedient to invest $250 million, representing almost 3 billion Ghana cedis on another head office building, somewhere at Ridge. In our circumstances, this is the height of insensitivity in the management of the financing of a troubled country. A country that is in a major crisis. You have decided to award a contract worth $250 million, representing approximately 3 billion Ghana cedis for the purposes of getting yourself a new head office. We believe that this is insensitive and it is not right for the governor of the central bank to go into this expedition at this time. The Bank of Ghana's illegal printing of money is responsible for the depletion of Ghana's external reserve, which resulted in the unprecedented depreciation we saw in the year 2022, which obviously is the main cause of the hyperinflation of 54-point-something% we saw in the year 2022. It is important to state that the governor of the Bank of Ghana breached Section 37 of the Bank of Ghana Act 2012, Act 612, and Section 60 of the Bank of Ghana Amendment Act 2016, Act 918. In fact, the governor breached the laws of the central bank, which calls for urgent action against the governor of the central bank. An estimated 850,000 people were further reported by the World Bank recently that they have this singular act of the Bank of Ghana has pushed them down the poverty line as a result of the hyperinflation that the central bank caused in the year 2022. Clearly, there's blood on the hands of the governor of the central bank and his deputies. It is now obvious that many more members of the Akufo-Addo, Dr. Bawumia government will likely be keeping several more millions of dollars in their bedrooms and building a war chest to illegally buy electoral votes at both party primaries and the upcoming general elections in the year 2024. We will not be surprised that if members of the economic management team involved in this contest makes a strong showing, I won't be surprised at all, because clearly everything shows that maybe it's not only Madam Cecilia Dapa who has kept some money in her bedrooms. We in the NDC will continue to explore ways of rescuing this country to prevent it from the doom that has befallen several West African countries. Ladies and gentlemen, the IMF had made an offer to assist the government to develop a plan for recapitalization of the central bank. And that is why paragraph 18 of Ghana's Memorandum of Economic and Financial Policy, the MEFP, sent to IMF, stated this fact. Colleagues, ladies and gentlemen of the media, fellow countrymen and women, let me assure you that very soon, Ghanaians will be made to pay for Bank of Ghana recapitalization levy, a tax to recapitalize the Bank of Ghana. So as we speak, because the central bank has collapsed virtually. It is, however, our position that we have so recklessly, the government of Ghana has so recklessly mismanaged the central bank and brought it to its knees and cannot remain at the helm of affairs of the bank without being held accountable. Those who have led this reckless and criminal conduct unleashed economic hardship and financial distress on the suffering people of Ghana must be held accountable on this particular action. In fact, impunity of the highest order can no longer be tolerated by the suffering masses of Ghanaians. We must not allow this dangerous precedent to be set for future leaders. In this regard, we in the NDC call for the resignation, immediate resignation of the governor of the central bank and his deputies within 21 days from today. We are resolved to embark on popular action to occupy the central bank and drive out the team of inept, callous, and criminally minded mismanagers of our finances to save the Bank of Ghana. What we will do is that the march will ensure accountability. Colleagues, the march to ensure accountability will begin in 21 days if the governor of the Bank of Ghana does not do the needful and pack bag and baggages out of that sacred institution that he has unfortunately mismanaged. Dr. Ernest Addison and his deputies must go. There has to be an end to this impunity now. Fellow countrymen and women, let us arise and save the Bank of Ghana. This is the only bank we have that belongs to us directly. The central bank has a big role to play. We cannot allow the Bank of Ghana to be managed and be drawn to this level. We call on all of you that if the governor fails to act by resigning, you join us to march to occupy the Bank of Ghana in 21 days' time, to force him out and to force his deputies out, because we cannot allow this to continue. Arise for Ghana. Fellow countrymen and women, arise for Ghana. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Okay, so before we do our usual tree presentation, we will take questions. Please, I know some of you just came. Let's restrict the movement. We are not done. There are very important issues to still discuss. So if you have a question here and you're a media man, only media men can ask questions, just raise up your hand. You tell us your name, your media organization, and you keep your question very crisp. Let me start with you, my brother. Hold on, let's have the spare microphone for that. So, leader, just take down the questions. How many questions, by the way, do we have? One here, only two? Two. Okay. All right.
Right. My name is Eric Mawenegbeta with TV3. So my question is to the minority leader. Is it the case that in 21 days, that's when some action can be taken? I ask this question in relation to previous engagement with the Bank of Ghana. The now ranking on the Finance Committee has had cause to raise concerns as to how the central bank governor has not honored invitations by Parliament over certain matters. And so is it because of that that you're resorting to a march instead of other pressing areas where you can demand accountability? And then lastly, on one of the reasons why the Bank of Ghana itself has explained why we are here has to do with the printing of money, as has been suggested by Dr. Atoforsen. What has the minority done? It's a critical question that's been asked because clearly you say the Bank of Ghana has violated the country's laws and yet nothing has been done in that regard. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Kweku Asante, Joy FM. Some of the allegations against the Bank of Ghana governor borders on breach of law and even criminality. But from marching to the BOG head office to demand that he resigns, what measures will they take in Parliament to ensure accountability, either to get him to answer specifically if there are criminal questions to answer, and specifically when it comes to the breaches of the law, what are the consequences spelled out? Thanks.
All right, is that all? Okay, so the minority leader will deal with these questions, after which we will do the tree presentation. Thank you.
So let me start with the last one. The issue of what we can do as parliamentarians. Yes, the governor has breached the law, and Section 30 and Section 60 of the Bank of Ghana Amendment Act is clear on this matter. He can only print to support government expenditure using 5% of previous year's revenue as the benchmark. Unfortunately, the governor did 7.2% of GDP, representing about 30% of previous year's revenue. So he has not just breached it lightly, but you could see that he deliberately did this. What I can say is that it's only the Attorney General who has the power to prosecute someone who breaches the law. So it's not in the bosom of Parliament to prosecute. What we can only do as members of Parliament is to haul him before us. But unfortunately, the crime has been caused already. He has already destroyed our livelihood. In fact, the act, this singular act of printing 7.2% of GDP in 1 year in terms of revenue has pushed, according to the World Bank, 850,000 Ghanaians into the poverty line. It has not only done that. If you are to go further and drill down the numbers, you will notice that this singular act has also moved a number of Ghanaians from middle income to low income. And certain rich people have now become middle income. So the governor has messed us up big time. He has imposed an illegal inflation tax on the people. Inflation is a tax. It is an illegal tax because it does not have legislation. The governor has imposed an illegal inflation tax on the people of Ghana. That is why today when you go to the market, things that you used to buy it 1 cedi, the next day you go in and you will notice that you are buying it at 5 Ghana cedis. Clearly, this takes away your disposable income and push you further line the poverty line. This is what the governor has done. We can't continue to allow these things to happen. What we are seeking to do now is to secure our country. He should first leave the scene because he has shown that he cannot stand firm for the people of Ghana. We've seen examples in other countries. We saw what Bernanke did in the United States. But what we are seeing here now is that we have seen a governor who has turned himself into a printer. He now owns a printing press. All what he does is to print money. We can't stand that. So we are asking him to leave, and he should leave now. And when he leaves, eventually we'll get a good governor. First of all, the first thing we are seeking to do now is to get him to stop the printing. Stop what he's doing, and then bring someone in, and let that person be aware that that predecessor lost his job because he failed to adhere to the Bank of Ghana Act. And that is the reason why we are letting him go. And finally, on the issue of what we have done, why we are calling on the governor. I don't think there's nothing else we can do. Simple put, the governor must go. We have stated here today that we have given him 21 days as the main opposition party for him to pack his bags and leave that sacred place called Bank of Ghana. You should leave. 21 days because we think as a governor he will need at least 3 weeks to hand over properly. So we are being charitable. We've given him 21 days. He should immediately pack his bag, write his handing over, and leave the central bank. If he fails to leave the central bank, we are urging you all, the media, fellow countrymen and women, NDC, even MPP, they should join us. Let us occupy the central bank and ask the governor to leave the scene because he can't continue staying there. he has shown that he's incompetent. He doesn't care about livelihood of the central bank because clearly he has failed on the constitutional mandate of price stability. He single-handedly, working with his deputies, has run the central bank down. As if that is not enough, knowing that the central bank has collapsed, he has further gone out there to decide that he's going to build head office worth 3 billion Ghana cedis, 250 million US dollars at this critical time. So clearly, he doesn't care. He doesn't care. We all know what he has done. We saw how he has mismanaged our resources. Bank of Ghana's resources. I don't think he will manage his business the way he has managed. So, our friends from the media, it's clear that the central bank governor must go, and he will have to go now. 21 days start taking today. He should go. So help us in counting. In fact, Same, you have to assist us to do the countdown. We have to count down when the governor must go, and he must go now. Thank you.
Yes, before we do the tree presentation, let me acknowledge the presence of the Member of Parliament for North Tongue, Ranking Member for Foreign Affairs, also Ranking Member for Scandals. The son of man, Honorable Okujeto Ablakwa, is here. And we have the Member of Parliament for Adaklu, our Minority Chief Whip, Honorable Kwame Abuja, is also here. Our former Director of Elections, former Deputy General Secretary, former Minister of Sports, Honorable Elvis Afiankra is also here with us. With regards to what would the MPs do if the Bank of Ghana fails to resign, I would just want our Minority Whip, who is in charge of whipping the entire Minority Caucus, to just say a word or two about that before we proceed.
Yes, thank you, Sami. And I think leader's position is quite clear. The Bank of Ghana is in crisis. It's self-inflicted. And this is orchestrated by President Akufo-Addo and Dr. Bawumia's government. When they fail to manage the economy, they basically turn the Bank of Ghana into a printing press, printing more money. The responsibility to prosecute the Bank of Ghana governor and anybody hold accountable is the Attorney General. But which of you here believes that Godfrey Dami is going to prosecute any member of President Akufo-Addo's government? It's not going to happen. But I can assure you that apart from the fact that the governor fears appearing before Parliament, in fact, he doesn't even like appearing before the Finance Committee of Parliament. He thinks he's only accountable to President Akufo-Addo. And the last time we needed to remind him that even the Finance Minister, upon all his escapades, is forced sometimes to appear before Parliament. So if the Finance Minister is bigger than you, how dare you not be able to appear before Parliament? Let him understand he is accountable to Parliament. And the 21 days is a long grace period. Which of you will believe that a Bank of Ghana in this level of crisis, self-inflicted, will be building a $250 million new headquarters? In fact, those of you who know Ridge Hospital, when President Mahama had the opportunity to lead this country, he built Ridge Hospital that you and I can use today. Right opposite of that hospital on the right-hand side is Bank of Ghana new headquarters. As if something is wrong with the old headquarters. You are broke. You have actually collapsed the economy. The next thing you do is to award a $250 million project. And guess what? That project is one of the fastest growing projects in this country. Not hospital projects, not education project, not road project. The fastest growing project in this country is the construction of Bank of Ghana. So how can you tell us that the country is broke when the headquarters of Bank of Ghana is going on at a speed of light? It means that this is deliberate. What will we do after the 21 days? They shouldn't try us. We have options. Like we always say, our options are in our head. They should not try it because we are capable of deploying options that will get him out of office by force if he refuses to go within the 21 days. And we are telling him he should not dare us because we have the capability of driving him out of the office with your support. Thank you very much.
You've heard the Bank of Ghana blame their financial woes and the collapse of the central bank on the ongoing debt exchange program. the minority leader has something small to say about that, so take note.
I mean, you are right. The governor in his address had said that, as for him, he's done everything right, and we should blame it on Ken Ofori-Atta and Dr. Bawumia for asking him to write government debt of about 48 billion off. 22 made a loss of 60 billion. Of this 60 billion, they wrote off about 48 billion, isn't it? So it tells you that even without the write-off, the governor, the actions of the governor and his inactions has actually collapsed the central bank ahead of the domestic debt exchange. Yeah. So if you take 48 million from 60 billion, it still have about 12 billion. As we speak, the central bank has a negative equity of 55 billion Ghana cedis. Negative equity. Now, it means that they don't have any surplus, any money there. He is building a head office at the cost of $250 million. This simply means that he's printing additional in Ghana. So he could tell you that since he's the printer, he's only printing by the day. And every minute when he wakes up, he prints, and he prints to build head office. So clearly, this guy will not learn. And that is why we are urging you all, colleagues, fellow Ghanaians, our brothers and sisters from the media, that join us in this call. It is for us to secure our country. We need to secure our country. This is our motherland. We have no other country. We have to get this man out. Let us get a new governor, and let that governor come in and learn that the predecessor was pushed out for ABCD, so he will not go there. If we are not careful, and we are to allow this governor to stay in the office, what will happen is that we will set bad precedent for future managers to do same and to destroy our livelihood. He has depleted Ghana's reserve to about 1 week of import cover. The finance minister informed us that even with the IMF money, additional drawdown from the IMF, by the end of the year, Ghana's net international reserve will be about 3 weeks. 3 weeks. Is this the governor we want to keep in office? He has messed us up so much that we cannot wait to see his back. 21 days' time, we say bye-bye to the governor.
All right. Thank you. So, at this stage, we'll just do a quick summary of the presentation of our speaker in Twi. This is also very important, so we just crave your indulgence to keep your cameras in position. Please remain seated. Abusuafo a yɛhyia wɔ ha, te sɛ deɛ yɛde too mo anim no. Ɛnnɛ, yɛfrɛ mo a, ɛyɛ Bank of Ghana ɛho nkɔmmɔ ɛne yɛpɛ sɛ yɛne mu di. Te sɛ deɛ mo nyinaa mo nim no, afi etwa mu 2022, Bank of Ghana sikasɛm bebi egyina deɛ yɛfrɛ no annual report and financial statements no. Bank of Ghana auditors for years and review ni nyina wie e de won krata aba abonten. Na de wom ne ne ya frɛ mo sɛ ye ne mo bedi hu nkomo na magana fo nyina hu Bank of Ghana gina brɛ. Na ebia na ebi no mu nim si ye ka Bank of Ghana eye adwuma yoku a omadwuma ho hia magana yie pa. Esan sɛ ye nyina ye wo ye banks obi bank Eco Bank ehɔ no save ni sika obi bank ya Ghana Commercial Bank ehɔ no save ni sika o bank na hwɛ wo sika so na ho kyerɛ wo na opebesi a wo bank hɔ na wokɔ Ghana as on my ye bank ye banker and the Bank of Ghana ɛno nti sɛ Ghana wa ho kyerɛ mu a ye bank hɔ na ye betumi akɔ, which is the Bank of Ghana. The atoso biom so no sa Bank of Ghana yi eno na banks ahodo e wo Ghana nyina hye nase. Enti bank bia e wo Ghana bia so bank e ye Bank of Ghana. Banks e wo Ghana ye de sika atoto no mu nyina so sika e wo Bank of Ghana for nchen. Enti bank bia no n'adwuma wo ye bia no Bank of Ghana na hwe so se omo be fa mra kwan so aye omo adwuma yie. Na se bank bi so kwa ho kire ne ho yehia mu a omuni baby akose Bank of Ghana no mobeko akwakopemwa enu nti NDC emra na yewura president ma wo akonwa so no ye de ebetumi aye bia se Bank of Ghana benya hode na ejina brane enu nti Yefra konyanso 2016 Bank of Ghana for omubu omonkonta no manyamfaso about $700 million. Oma moka under President Mahama omunyamfaso in 2016. Na enam President Mahama ne Bank of Ghana mpenyufoɔ samre no Dr. Nasiru, Dr. Siamanom omunyuma pantino. Bank of Ghana nya sika credit mi di si ayaresa bia kese and oko cantonment a ye Bank of Ghana Hospital. Emra fofi antoata yareboni coronavirus ebeto yeso ani yenya baabi mfa no. Eye sa Bank of Ghana ya the nation builder Yewura Mahama ne Bank of Ghana for see ye no ene boa wo man no. In fact, ye share Bank of Ghana sika sem yie mo yo madwuma kama samre no Yewura to force ya mote na no kasa enche bia no ono na esi NDC amanyokuo ene aban na nam e Bank of Ghana board so no moto to nyema yie ma 2016 enyuma pa bebreba mampanyi Mahama aban ye nyina no ya nye besia kapre not even one cedi or one peso from the Bank of Ghana. Bank of Ghana ntwe sika 1 cedi amaye eno ne ye friend zero financing from the central bank. Na che say ye fra konwa so no na Bank of Ghana no ejina ne nanso eye. Na we na ye koto aba wie ya ye nkonkote a omampanya Kufuado ne na bedi eche ba womi ase. Empenyimfo a Yewura Mahama pa wo mo omutumi siesie Bank of Ghana sei no. Eye enwuma pa we nyina no. MPP for the so mutumi ne omunya adwuma. Enti mo be kai omo tata Dr. Nashiru, even though the governor and his deputies have security of 10-1 no, omo tata omo ka so mutumi ne omunya adwuma e mo resign e. No munim di omo pese omo ye. No munim sikadi a omo pese omo ye. Enti e wo se ye de mpenyimfo a omo betumi aboa ma saa sikadi na koso no de kotena ho. Enti omo ye saa nwuma pa ma Bank of Ghana fa no ntuma pa fira ye nyina no. Monko yentimi ni munya adwuma ena omko ye enei akwa wie sen afi atwa mi so ohwe Bank of Ghana enye ma omo ye ne omusika sem be agina Bank of Ghana no ene agu de enti agu ni se ene Bank of Ghana eye Ghana bandia government of Ghana is a sole shareholder na aban e wo se aban no as the social shareholder ni nya japade a ebetumi aso bank ni mu no ene ye sika ne ye japade nyina asa ama eka ye de no ye 55.1 billion eno ne negative equity a Yewura ato forcing aka ho asem 55.1 billion de etoso biem bank no nyuma a omudi no 2022 no so sese a 2016 President Mahama Abreso munya mfaso $700 million Ghana cedis. Enei 2022 omaboka 60 billion Ghana cedis. So what they call old Ghana cedis are more than 6 quadrillion asem ne yeken. In dollars ebru $6 billion. Chese sika ye free IMF wo enti a aban ese omo a wode wonka wontua or ye debt restructuring pensioners for esu because aban se won sika e won nche wontua taxes ahodo aban dia begu ye so all the conditionalities ye to nkania buom ye to nsuo buom ne de keka ho ni nyina no sa enyema ye nyina sika ye de pay $3 billion per. But within 1 year, Bank of Ghana boka a chain of ×2. Now, obi be bisa say dia entina ye drew sa baby ya drew. Eno na Yewura ato force ya kyerem say. De di kan emra aban we ese Ghana sika sem nyina turu bosia bebreba a omobo. Any sikadie basa omoye since 2017 no. Na se Ghana ya bankrupt. Ye ni sika ye de betua ye nka. Ye ni sika ye de beye bibia. Eno nti aban call omo bankers which is the central bank. Say omo ntwe sika emfa ma wo mo. Na nka eno na nya bone. Ye Bank of Ghana Act na ya ye no section 30 Emma Bank of Ghana who kwan says a bank kwa muchire musa omo na ya ban bankers omo tumi twa sika de boa wo mo na emom sika na mu twa no eni se eboro ohamu nchiche mu enum 5% of aban sika wonya ye nyina the year before. So you cannot exceed 5% of the total revenue of the previous fiscal year. Because the sika no wan hwe ye na wutwa boro so bebre a ebe ye cost 90 work say the amrante ne ka no. Because obi a wonim sika sem bia beka cho say Bank of Ghana twa sika bebre sa ema ade a ye fa no inflation nyema bo kosoro 10 na eno so eba ne sa etua oka as adwumayeni a usika no esu ni emfaso bia because ade a na sika ne timi ye no entumi nye biem. It will totally erode incomes. Na edia ho kira ba enti parliament eye mbransa no mo ye no say aban kwa ho kire mu a wo betumi abo aban as Bank of Ghana besika na wo twa no fanyansa to ho entwa moro 5% sebi na say o boro sa 5% ne so a governor no entwe krata nkobo Minister of Finance amane no nkobo Ghana ye nam sifo a wo mrahye bedwem amane say sika aban pese yetwa ma omo no you do 5% of the total revenue of the previous year. And unti monchre de enye. But 2021, they said yeah, you were to force in kan no. Bank of Ghana twa sika e ma ban we 35 billion cedis. Titi sika no 3.5 trillion. And you printing a grrr near sesa de ma ban. But we mu a sika dodo e wasen ko mutwa ma ban ne ke ni say bro 2.8 billion because not 2020 the year before no minus sika ye nyina the friend the total revenue no e 55 billion into 5% they say bro 2.8 billion now they come on 5 billion be pre ko 35 billion yan cash inti no no munim se Ghana for the o mu rebe finti no 2022 almost mo be more and on so mu twa 45 billion. And also, what's the total revenue for 2021? No, now you 76 billion. Then you say, "Come to sika kura mane bro 4 billion." And also, so we 45 billion. Omucha sika ma owura bawomia kenoforia to mampenye kufuado ne MPP fo ewie ya. Ye hu de omudi sika ye ne okurum ha. Afei omakọ Bank of Ghana for ho. So sika na mutwa man na ye ka bone ye ntimi ntua. Bank of Ghana twa sika ma wo a it say the bank ama obosi eye kai wo se wutua na say sika no bank ni timi nya na ade aban so ontimi ntua enti sika ni mu 48.4 billion Bank of Ghana say o ya na etwa ma mo ye de ache mo na busi ma sika no mu twa na nya Ghana fo sika no mu di twae sa wutwa sika wo paper ink security features I kan nyina no na je say aye kwa abon de omudi sika ne ye nyina so aye kwa. And this sikano, simply put, oma diskano. Omuntu minya entry, sikani na ashe. Na sadie way ena NDC amanyuko ye kase. Eye asem we very serious. I'm say Ghana for be bradwen koso. Because eno na ma ho kira ba Ghana no. Last year asem we ya empomponso anyama bo koso inflation rate koso akodu 54.1%. Yanoma ye mbabu no aye wo ye 30 si ye hu bibi sa da de enti na ba sa e because say Bank of Ghana no ko su twa sika sa enti na wo ji usika wo kodwomu a enti mi nto hwe na ye ho akire ye no ase ye no we na ama na ba sa na we sika ye twa ma omo a in just 2 years President Mahama betena konwa so 4 years bosia wo bo ye nyina ni mpuntu a wo ye nyina sika ode ye ni 4 years enuru sika Bank of Ghana etwa ma ban we in 2 years enu but omudo metwa bro edi abusuafo de ye ka gida nsa sa de we tia Ghana fo mra obroni se eye criminal obia enkohwe section 67 of Bank of Ghana Act se ubu emre bia ewo Bank of Ghana mra ni mu a wa commit criminal offense na yedi wasem no ebuafo a we are liable to a fine of 500 penalty unit, not exceeding 500 penalty unit. And that's what me fiase for at least or maximum 2 years. And here we are saying, nene deputies, Bank of Ghana board there, omo there, omo ye jail bound because clearly no obi a won ko school nkosu amra kora ni said your maye no oma bo man ne kro no oma di oman na wu oma tietie oman na mra so, and this constitutes a crime. Na oka omo so COVID-19 ba na emergency nti na omo yesa and also so enya no kre because mra no mra she bedwafo ye no omu say emergency bi betumi aba enti omo di shemu subsection 6 of section 30 of the Bank of Ghana Act say mpo emergency bi ba na ban hia say Bank of Ghana fo betwa sika bibira ama omo a eboro 5% no so a Bank of Ghana finance minister omo transfer omo set new ceiling no omo kobo parliament for amane manye bibia sa into wontumi use COVID and any so-called emergency as the excuse. Now we can Bank of Ghana for normal issue statement 4 pages tin almost enye hwe na okwa amama bi so a almost central banks aboka abusuafo sa amama ya omobobo odi no mo hwe omo statement ro mu nyina ya amama ya omo sikasem ejina ne na so. These are industrialized countries and as amama you know emumu bia ni wo omatiatia omo central bank emra so a committed crimes they said they are buying we aye enti sa asem ne de emamu kra because ade na amaye no e de ahokyira ba ene nipa bebre ebre because of that na bra na be chirechirem ana resign ya wo ba justify by engaging in equalization dia na chese uni obuo kra magana for na abusuafo me de ma no si ne de ehu wa asem ni mu ne se senka banks e wo Ghana ibi ena o matietia Bank of Ghana Act so ena o maboka 60 billion anka Bank of Ghana o ma bank na tena ko mungu no wo Bank of Ghana wo na wo e wo se wo hwe se banks e wo Ghana nyina no o mo be comply with emra e hwe banking sector so e the bank the Bank of Ghana Act and the Specialized Deposit Taking Act ne de keka Bank of Ghana mona wo se mona mukita ba mo we se bank bia be di mra no so na wo bu mra no so wo be na akoreti obi a wo bu mra so he said what moral authority na Bank of Ghana was so obetumi aka se ogu bank bi ni nyina no eni wo biem na busuafo de ehu ni se emra Bank of Ghana mpanyimfo hu se yewura ba womia ne MPP aban emu mpanyimfo kenofori ata ne yakufo adom edidi omo ho no omo so yese sika no omo so bedibi enti yakoye edibi ma me nibi because omo so ye twa sika ne ma aban ko na edi ekai kura so omo ntua ebeye bad debt ne writing it off enti yaso de ne ebeye enti omo fra bibi operational expenses e wa na omo start say oh ene yeso ye befa nyansa kwan bi so ne disika enti wo correct 2020 annual report and financial statement ni mu a Bank of Ghana for say last year for Ghana for muntie omo kasa ehun to chima a omo de call fita for so omo nya hu adwuma car maintenance nko a 131 million cedis tetisika no 1.3 trillion and omo de ma fita for omo de siesie omo car just say yes san oil ye change bibi ase ye chicha ties 1.3 trillion areho enya no nko a omo se sika nko a chese omo so sua omampanyi akufuado ene ne dibi ni bi na meka no go omampanyi utwa sika ma no a de na ode chata wiem hyen enti Bank of Ghana for no so omo so betu kwan enti akwantu omo tu kwa ma no ne de omo tu no Ghana de omo fa African world dia ye nyina ye fa ibi ene e ba ku ye ka hwen passion so domestic travels ene akwantu omo tu kwa abrochire last year nko a almost 97.4 million cedis. Titisika no 974 billion and omudi tu kwan. Di bima mindi bini na meche mu no. Ewi eche almost oh ye frɛ bibi computer expenses ye nima de kro. Ah omudi computer ye. Na busu afo se wo to computers nko a mako 1 million kra. E ka Bank of Ghana for se o mabɔ no. Enya de a ebetumi abanesa almost computer expenses nko 67 million cedis titisika no 670 billion old Ghana cedis enye no nko almost mo nsɛmtwerɛ fo mo ni mu di nkita ho enti sɛ mo kra ne bia na sika ni bia aba mo ho ye fa no communication expenses. Communication expenses. And also, so almost a Kalasia in Kwao. 32 million cedis, 320 billion. Yes, yeah, the man says the communications, with my communications will come without in some trouble. Enti any presem kese na de huni company bia emu mpanyifo dwen company ne ho no se company ne kɔ awonyehia ne awokyere mu a mpanyifo no dwen company ne huni to mo te o makatua so because company ne sika sama yeden asɛe enti omu nyina tete o makatua so we de anya ya no Philip Addison ene ni mpanyifo Bank of Ghana egu a omo bɔ kamo no omo se yebeto ya katua mu enti omo nko last year directors no board directors ne kekewo omo di sika omo di tua omo kano omo akeka bom ekosi 8.6 million cedis titi sika no 86 billion and no dey no compare 2021 na katua omo je ya ntumu no increment no ye 68%. In 1 year, omo salary mu 68%. Ghana jumayeni be na 1 year yeto na ketuam 68%. E je say dibi ma mi ni bi aban ni di. Nti ma me so menye den mi ni bi. Wan na ebekwa akoka. Na ye ka ni say no, obi so NDC for kra mo pekasa. Emfa me ho, efa ho. Because e ka na ba beto no. Wan na ebetua. Eno na ye wura to force ya kire mu no. Ye ene ye betua. This are buying so much the 2 be beba. Ye ba betue sika se Bank of Ghana agu nti ye ntuatua to ne ye njeje ne ye mfa nkoso o masen. Na why na di sika na ama Bank of Ghana agu no. Aban ba kwa mo ba ye de mo de mo nsa beka bia na masen no. Ene cocoa board magu no. Ene Senate ya gu no. PBC magu no. Gihawk magu no. GMPC magu no. Bank of Ghana omu twa sika Bank of Ghana omu twa sika so ene magu no enti menu mienu already ye so fa de oma ye no hunsunsuanso because ade chi ade se nyina no inflation kosoro ti kodwom a ene gino rice ukoto 5 kg bag almost 200 Ghana oh dokuro bo a ekosoro emu bo a ekosoro aburo bag bo a ekosoro ni nyina ye sika no matwa agu system ni mu a and o masan so convert ya dollars no mo di ahye mo pass so efa ye ho enenu nti Ghana fo ne ye ni anidaso bi ase NDC mra hye bedwafo a o mo ye domkuma wo mra hye bedwam o mo na o mutimi gina konkodema Ghana ye mo ye nsema members of parliament for the NDC and o mo panyimpa de atodwa se yewura Addison o mamma no enna adronu ba ko 21 days na watwe miensa one ne deputies ni nyina omo starting twere omo resignation letter omo handing over bia wo so mo ye bia wo so mo ye na omo nko na afoforo mra omo yes ne saa e bia omo beti yenka biem na ye 2025 a president Mahama ba be di akonwa afi de ye frɛ omo se omo meyi omo ho ano e wo mra na omo tietia so because eno de e beba so dole obi ani wo obro mra so. It is a Bank of Ghana Act. It's going to be 5% of total revenue of the previous year. And yet you must answer for that. But any many years, so much cost now. And yet, ye be year 2023, every year 2024. No, and here we because a car maintenance on Kwano, they bear 1 billion Ghana cedis na year. Because of her trajectory now, kwa no more expenses na cost sikedi no kwa na eden e cost. 2021 almost printed 35 billion. 2022 45 billion. Into 2023 nkofo ya nko no to ombe print sen. Anya 100 billion. Next say on minor ebebo. Enu nti minority chief whip so akabia to so say omaka no omo behwe say obe resign. Na one resign here. So omo friend na was your because omu nipa bia. Na wo na watwa sika nya sika tamsi a nka mrache bedwafo frɛ wa ka abekɔ. But omo so wa ma omo betoa no wo ne office wo. Now we be make sure so be resign. Ebusuafo de atwa to ni. And the Bank of Ghana agu e kam in the bank no. Sika o matwa ma aban so ntumi ntwa. Bank ni sika kakra so a ye di no basa ma kyerɛkyerɛm. Honorable Atoforsen de ho facts nyina ma ye. Na de atwa ya wom e wo se Ghana fo nyina ye sorry gina. Any adenwa bi a Bank of Ghana for so mo ye. Ene ya ye wa ho kire ne ahoyehia mu a economy na crash. Pensioners for omo makọ omo ahomedie mu omo ahomedie sika aban kra pese ode ne nsa to so omo de omo sika abo aban besi aban si ontua e ka mene Ghana obi aso omo ye besia ukodwomu a ene woton wa ye nto nipa bre adwuma ni ho. There is a freeze on public sector employment as we speak. Mabunu hu de omo be ye sika kakra na Bank of Ghana fo betumi atwa me ye de aye bibi papa so a omo so omo de kwa kosi head office foforo omo kosi abronsan atoato so aye ni nyina hwehwe dan foforo akwa akotenam mo Bank of Ghana dan abusuafo ye nyina so ye hu chima ben na wo ho edan ya motimu a mo ye adwuma no na mo didi sikei problem bi ani ho na eno krom na moti a mo se mo de 32 million cedis and your communication expenses according to sika nko a 97 million na dia mo kotena dan mo no ni mu eno ye nhwehwe ne dia na mo be. That is a complete misplaced priority. The Bank of Ghana here ne nei enye new head office sika kakra na omo wo no e wo se e di siesie bank no na BBC a bank na timi aye na dwuma bank bi kura kwa ho kire mu a Bank of Ghana timi aboa no. Say banks yi nyina mutie yewura to force in the debate on the floor mid-year budget reviewer. Banks ni nyina e boka in the billions. Banks e wo Ghana nyina. Na wo Bank of Ghana na wo yo mo bank wo kwa ho kire mo ba beboa no. Wo so wo boka kese sei. Wo nwe no ho wo se wo kwa kosi new head officer. E no de adabraka. Ye mpene so ne empene so kina. Enti ye frame a na de wo ho nyina no no. Ye da mo ase. Na ye hwe ni mu se owura no wan fa na dwuma nto a the entire 137 members of parliament supported by well-meaning patriots Ghana for ebeka omo ho ne anante akọ the offices of Bank of Ghana ne am making sure that we will occupy the Bank of Ghana anopa ekosi adeche we will occupy there until Addison de na dwuma beto because ade we o ma bia ni we si wo mu a ye de ho bechew. And in this Ghana for your so you bet now was a yet now near ye ni high a more on the boat of mine cry. Yadam was it. Okay. All right, so thank you very much. We've done exactly 1 hour. We intend to start on our press conferences now on time. We realize that some of you were very late because you thought we'd be late. So we beg you, next time when you see the advert, come at least set up 15 minutes before time. May God bless our homeland, Ghana.
They